We are recording the interview of Dana Stephen Heider. This interview is being conducted by Katie Bradshaw from the Wright State University Veteran Voices Project. This interview is being recorded at Wright State University New Media Incubator in Dayton, Ohio. It is 9:53 a.m. on October 28th, 2019. And for the purposes of this interview, you would like to be called Steve, is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
All right, well, welcome, Steve. Thank you for coming today for an interview with us. We could begin by discussing when and where you were born.
I was born in Springfield, Ohio on the 2nd of April, 1950.
Very good. Were you the firstborn of your family?
No, I was the third born, okay? I have two older brothers and one younger sister, okay?
Okay, and what did your parents do as far as careers?
My parents, we grew up at the beginning, we was farmers, okay? With my grandfather and my grandmother, and but the point came that there wasn't enough income coming in, you know, to support our family. So my dad, he had to make a career decision and leave the farming, and he went to work for the Edison Company in Springfield, Ohio.
What did they do?
My dad, he started out as a typical, like a maintenance man, repairman at the Edison Electric Company.
Okay.
And as he went forward, he ended up coming in procurement, or he was the purchasing manager for the Edison, purchasing whatever equipment supplies and stuff like that. My mother, she was a stay-at-home mom, okay? She had 4 children to raise and feed, and house to clean and everything, and so she was a stay-at-home mom.
And that is a full-time job on top of a full-time job.
Yeah, that was probably full-time plus a couple part-times, you know.
Yeah.
And what a beautiful job both my parents did. I was very blessed to have, you know, very great parents, you know.
Good. Growing up, did you have a sibling in particular you were very close to, or were you all pretty close?
Our family was always pretty close. We all, you know, had different characters. You know, my oldest brother, of course, his name is Mike. He was a motorhead. He liked his cars and building them and engine repairing, mechanic and stuff like that. My other brother, Dave, and I, we both were somewhat a whole lot alike, okay? We both really enjoyed sports and, you know, competed in sports. And in fact, there's kind of competition between both of us, you know, who's better and so forth like that. So we were somewhat a lot closer. My sister, she was what she was. She was just a little brat.
That's what little sisters are for.
Yeah, and she's just our little pain in our rear end, you know.
So I imagine as the younger brother, you spent your time trying to keep up with your brothers and wanting to be included in the fun they were having?
Yes, I did. You know, in fact, it got to the point, you know, both of them was older than I, and of course they had their driver's license, and way before, you know, not way before, but a few years before I had mine, and I kind of started getting left out then, you know, because they was older, and they was starting their own life, you know, different things, cars and girlfriends and all the stuff that comes along with being a teenager growing up.
Of course.
Occasionally they would include me or let me go somewhere with them or take me somewhere or something like that.
What sports did you play?
My favorite sport was baseball, and also played football too. And really enjoyed that.
Good. In high school, did you have a job?
I did. I worked part-time at several places. My family, you know, we wasn't given a car. Our parents, you know, my dad's got 4 kids to raise. So we learned a very good work ethic, you know, starting out being farmers, and So worked for some farmers part-time, worked at a supermarket part-time, worked at a horse farm part-time, worked at a place where they made shipping skids and stuff like that. So all of us always had a job, you know, because we had a car payment, we had gas, we had insurance and stuff like that.
Yeah, and those are hard manual labor jobs.
Yes, you know, it's good work ethics, but I always like to say it builds good character,
I agree.
you know.
When your parents were farmers, what did they farm?
Back then, you know, we're going back in the 50s and 60s, okay, as it wasn't, farming wasn't specialized in, okay, it wasn't a crop farmer or just a cattle farmer, you know, so we was crop farmer, we had the crops, we had the cattle, you know, of course we had the pigs, so milked the cows.
Okay.
And all that.
I grew up in Iowa, so we would rotate corn and soy, or corn and beans. My dad explained something about it keeps
Okay.
the dirt fresher, or the soil has more nutrients that way. Did you guys do that?
It does, right, and that's why you see the rotation in the crops, you know. It's really changed from, you know, the 50s to the 60s to farming today. And I just got done riding several miles in Iowa, and we took back roads and everything. We was heading to South Dakota out to Sturgis. And I thought, wow, I don't know if I can look at one more cornfield.
There's a lot of corn there. But I've heard Sturgis is very fun. We'll have to come back to that.
Yes.
So then at what point in high school did you, or what were you thinking of doing in high school as far as a future career?
In the future career, I graduated in 1968, okay? And we knew then that more or less we was going to be drafted, okay? So what's really funny is myself and a friend of mine, a couple, 2 or 3 months before graduation in '68, we decided we'd go down and we'd join the Army and be military police, and I wanted to do K-9, you know, be a K-9 handler. So then you had to go over and take your physical over at Fort Hays, Columbus. So both of us went over there, took our physical, and long story short is they rejected me because I have asthma. Okay.
Did that feel kind of like good news at the time?
No, because, you know, I was really looking forward, you know, being a military police and doing the K-9.
Yeah.
So anyway, my friend, he went on, okay, he took the delayed enlistment till after graduation, went on in the Army, and then I went to work after high school with a company in Springfield, Parker Sweeper. Very shortly after graduation, I got a letter in the mail saying, hey, Steve, or Dana, Stephen Heider, you need to report at this time at it was the Brown Building in Springfield, and we will transport you to Fort Hays, Columbus, okay, to take a physical, you'll be drafted. And went back over to Fort Hays, Columbus just a few months after they rejected me, like, okay, this is going to be short and sweet. You know, been rejected once, I tried to join. Well, a miracle happened that day. The thing is, I didn't have asthma no more.
How convenient for the Army.
Yeah, it went away. I mean, 68, it was only about 5 months that they rejected me because I had asthma. Then 5 months later, I got drafted.
Wow.
And of course, I didn't come home that day.
How did you process that? I imagine you expected to be going back home.
Yeah, I was engaged to my girlfriend. We were supposed to get married and all this and that. You know, of course, my parents thought I'd be back home, and, you know, I thought I'd be back home.
Yeah, that's a big adjustment to make.
Like, wow. So anyway, I'm on all I know is filling out paperwork, raising my hand, taking, tests and junk like that. And next thing I know, then we're on a plane going to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Get in about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and they're out there showing us how to make a bed. I'm in the United States Army.
At what point did you contact your parents to let them know?
I think they give us a little bit of a window after, you raised your hand and all that stuff. And I think they give us a window to call home or something like that. And
How did your parents respond?
I really don't know. I think in disbelief. Okay, shocked.
I imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in basic training now.
Yeah, I got sent from Fort Jackson down to Fort Gordon, Georgia.
And what did you think of basic training then?
What I think of basic training, it was very, very physical. Okay, very long, very hard, very tough, and drill sergeants wasn't very pleasant. It's there was times of physical abuse if you wasn't able to do a certain push-up or you dropped or you didn't, back then, you still could be punched, hit, kicked. And, more than anything was verbally abused. But it wasn't until later I found out why all this had to take place. In fact, I remember mail call, parents would write you, girlfriends write you, and of course everybody's out there in formation and got a drill sergeant up there calling your name out, you go up and get your mail. And anyway, my girlfriend I was engaged to, I guess she wanted to be sweet and put a little bit of perfume on the letter. And of course, it smells like perfume. And anyway, before he gave me the letter, of course, he smelled it too. And he said, wow, he said, this sure smells sweet. Said, must be from your girlfriend, huh? You maggot, they never called your name, they called you maggots. Said, the good thing about it there, maggot, don't worry, he says, she's fine, everybody back home is doing it.
When you said that you came to discover why they trained you all that way.
After graduated from basic, then I got my AIT. Okay, I had one and I went into infantry. Okay, being trained to be an infantryman. And drill sergeants there, they was very hard, but not quite as abusive. And I can remember every day, through 9 weeks of infantry school, that they'd always say, still hear those words echoing. You guys are going to Vietnam. After here, you're going to Vietnam, and you're not going to be coming home because you're going to get killed.
Wow. That would have some consequences constantly hearing that.
And so what they was doing from basic through 9 weeks of infantry school, they was tearing you down to build you up, okay? Because most of your drill sergeants were Vietnam returnee veterans. Been there, done that, And they was just trying to make you tough as nails to be able to maybe endure what you were getting ready to go, what you're going to go through.
Now, between you and the other recruits, would you guys talk to each other about how difficult the treatment was?
No, there was very little talk about the treatment. I mean, they get to the point, it's acceptance, you know it, and that's what it is, you know. Don't upset the apple cart, because if there is, there's a price to pay.
Do you think that ended up making you stronger and proved to be helpful when you were in Vietnam?
I think it did condition me, but it took me, you know, it took me from 19 years old, which reality, I'm supposed to still be a kid or be a teenager. There's a lot of things I'm supposed to do in this life as a teenager, as a kid. It really taught me how to hate. You know, so did it make me tough? I don't know. But what they was doing was, I know this, you know, this is my thought and my personal feeling. You know, they was teaching me to be a trained killer.
Did you know that at the time?
No, I didn't know that at the time until I got to Vietnam. And then everything changed in my life.
So after AIT, did you go directly to Vietnam? Did you have a chance to go
No,
home
I
first?
got stationed down in Fort Hood, Texas for a little bit. And that's where I think I was down there probably only 4 or 5 months or something, not very long. In fact, I asked my platoon sergeant, in fact, I still remember his name. His name was Sergeant Gerardo. And I disliked Fort Hood, Texas so bad. I asked him one day, I said, Sarge, I said, how do you ever get out of Fort Hood, Texas? And he said, well, first your time's up in the Army, or you get orders to go to Vietnam. And all I said was, okay. Didn't bring the subject back up. I don't know, it was maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks later. He said, Private Heider, front and center. He said, you don't have to go down to the motor pool to work today. He said, you're getting ready to go through 2 weeks of jungle warfare school. He said, you got orders to go to Vietnam. Like, okay. So anyway, I was out of Fort Hood, Texas.
Now, did you call and tell your parents?
I did.
And how did they respond to that?
They was very shocked because, like I told you, you know, I had 2 other brothers. The middle brother, Dave, he was a Vietnam veteran too. Okay, so he just basically got home, you know, and now they've got another son gone.
Yeah, that must have been very difficult for your parents.
Yeah. So anyway, I got 30 days leave. Went out to Fort Lewis, Washington, got a flight to Vietnam.
During your 30 days of leave, were you able to go home?
I was.
And were you still with your girlfriend at that point?
No, through infantry school, I got a Dear John letter. You know, she really wasn't on board with Vietnam stuff.
Yeah.
And anyway, she found another guy anyway, Dear John letter.
Okay, so you're single at this point. You go home for a visit. Did you have a nice time with your family then? Your brother had just returned from Vietnam.
Yes.
So were you able to get some advice from him?
No, he didn't talk about it. Okay.
Well, what kind of things did you do with your family? Did you guys go out to dinner?
You know, didn't do a whole lot. Spent more time with my friends. And honestly, I'd be truthful, more partying, more drinking than anything.
Coping, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you headed out through Washington?
He was at Fort Lewis, Washington. And I think it was like a day or two before, we got a flight to go to Vietnam. And then we went to Vietnam, and I still remember that door opening. All I could do was just gasp for air, trying to get a breath. It was so hot and humid, just going. And that was reality. Then it hit.
Now, with you you had asthma at some point.
Yes, I was born with it.
Born with it. So I imagine you're having a more difficult time breathing than maybe some other folks
I could
are having.
have, but according to the doctors and stuff at Fort Hays in Columbus, Ohio, I didn't have asthma no more, but whatever that's for.
Yeah, but in reality, that door opens and
Yes.
you're having a hard time breathing. Did you struggle with breathing the whole time you were there?
No, I adapted.
Okay.
Yeah, I adapted, like everyone else. I mean, that's the normal common story. Talk to Vietnam veterans, they'll tell you when they opened that door, they was just trying to get a breath of air, And then, of course, I got assigned to a unit, which was the 11th Cavalry, okay? Of course, I was at what they call base camp, I think, like a couple of days or something like that. And then I got on the helicopter and they sent me out to the unit, which was, I want to say, unit out in the jungle, Then real life began.
At this point, were you traveling with anyone that you knew, or was
No.
it all new people for
all
you?
brand new people. So once I got to my unit, they assigned me to the tank and tank crew that I was going to be on. And anyway, the tank commander, Sergeant Kirkus, told me what my duties was going to be on the tank and what I was going to do. I was a Wright gunner, machine gunner, and at nighttime we set up at night what they call an NDP, a night defensive position, okay? And of course you're on guard duty, everybody takes their turn or hours during the hours of darkness, and I wasn't even there no more than 8 or 9 hours. Then reality hit, we got hit, and I was so scared, In fact, I was almost like froze. Like, what the hell?
Were you 20 years old at this point?
I just turned 20.
Just turned 20.
Turned 20.
And reality is hitting.
Reality was hitting.
So when you felt frozen, was it for a few minutes? Was it for just a moment? How long did it take to?
I think it was just a few minutes, okay? I was so scared I have no recall, because, I learned when I was in infantry school to tear a machine gun apart, put it back together in just a matter of minutes, and correct any problems and da-da-da. And my machine gun froze and I froze. And my tank commander, Sergeant Kirkus, he instantly got it back up.
Was he a good leader?
Very good. Learned a lot from him. In fact, I went on and worked my way through. I became the tank commander. And that within itself was a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. Well, that day when you're experiencing gunfire for the first time and you froze and your supervisor got things up and running, then at that point did your training kick in that I need to start doing this?
It did. Yes, it did start to kick in.
I imagine something shifts when you have that first experience. Kind of a before and after in life.
Yeah, it's left the United States of America. Now I'm in a third world country in Vietnam. Now I'm behind a machine gun. And the thing is, there was firefights, what it's called. Well, after everything, the smoke all clears, and you have to go out and take a body count. And then, of course, the body count's got to be called back into whoever they called into. That's when reality hit. Dead bodies.
Would you just leave them there then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just leave them there and go on.
Did you lose people from your unit?
Yes. That's the other part reality hit. Like, what the hell? So-and-so didn't make it. You can still hear the helicopters coming in, the medevacs, taking the wounded, my brothers out. Life was short. You know, as time went along, I got hardened, very hardened. Life changed for me in Vietnam. Vietnam was what it was. I had a friend, Sergeant Robert McAndrews Bob. Him and I got very, very close to love baseball. I love baseball. He was a Los Angeles Dodgers fan. I was a Cincinnati Reds fan. And that's back when both of them was very good teams. Of course, that was a lot of, anyway, we got very, very close. In fact, probably you couldn't have cut us apart with a knife. And we got intel at the area, or AO, area of operation in the jungle we was working at. There was NVA, you know, enemy soldiers in that area. So we was out on dismount patrol. And they was right. Anyway, we got hit, ambushed. And I still sit today, you know. I was no more than, I don't know, who knows, 10 feet, 15 feet. And why in the hell it wasn't me, I don't know. But it was him. And he got killed.
How long had you guys been working together at that point?
I don't know, 6, 7 months. He had a wife, 2 little kids. And things really changed. I turned into a monster then. Vietnam, I got introduced to drugs. And I guess in a way, thank God. Of course, one was in the field, military, the government always made sure we supplied us with all the booze or alcohol we wanted. So I learned to drink real damn good. So the drugs and the alcohol, but thank God they was my friends. You know, when I was in Vietnam, I lost all reality. I didn't even know what my family looked like. It's like I lived there all my life. I knew I had a family. In fact, they wrote, "Hey, Steve, what do you want for Christmas?" You know? And I said, "Could you take a family picture? Because I don't even know what you guys look like anymore." So they sent the picture. And that was a blessing. They called it jungle fever. You know, I wasn't unique. You know, other people went through the same thing. And came to the point that I prayed that the next firefight we get into, I hope I get killed. I'm tired. And I'm wore out. But I still got a lot of responsibility to get these people underneath of me home. I came home. Excuse me. But I never came home. You know, I thought, I knew how to live and I knew how to survive over there in the jungle. But when I came back home in the United States of America, I didn't know how to live. It was a whole lot harder than being in Vietnam. You know, in the jungle, I knew how to survive. In the United States, I didn't know how to do it. I was scared, you know. People protesting like hell, man. You know, I remember getting off the plane coming home from Vietnam, you know. Of course, they had a fence area where they couldn't get in, you know. The signs, killers, you know, baby killers, and, you know, like, whew, sure is a welcome home.
Enemies on both sides, huh?
Yeah. So I got home, of course, thank God I still had a work ethic. So I got to go out and get a job. So, you know, it wasn't like the economy was that bad then. But it seemed like every time I fill out an application, I'm military, well, I'm Vietnam veteran, that was taboo. And I couldn't hardly find a job. Oh no, we don't want you. I don't know how many times the doors were shut on me, you know, for employment because I was a Vietnam veteran. Finally, I was able to get a job because I knew the lady was doing the hiring and stuff at J.C. Penney's in Stockton for $1.75 an hour. So that's what I did.
When you came home, did you and your brother talk at all about your shared experience at that point?
Never. Neither one of us. You know, in fact, my oldest brother, Mike, he wasn't in the service. He was in between those ages, too young for Korean War or too old for Vietnam War. But, it was about a little year and a half ago. I just went down to his house just one morning to visit. And my sister-in-law, we were sitting at the table, and my sister-in-law just lost her father, and he was he was in the Army, World War II, was talking. She had a box of medals, didn't know what they was, and I explained to her why, da-da-da. And I finally asked a question, you know, I said, Mike, I said, you know, I came home, I said, none of you guys, none of my family, none of you ever said, Steve, are you okay? I said, "You guys never talked to me." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Steve, we was too scared to." You changed so much. Your alcohol and your drugs, and we just figured you didn't want to talk about it. You never talked to us about Vietnam, never brought it up. And we was too scared to. I tried to get help because I knew there was something wrong with me. But that failed. Told our service officer, the BA service officer we had in Clark County in Springfield, Ohio, what was going on. He wanted medical records. I didn't have medical records. He said, "Well," he said, "You're just shell-shocked, nothing wrong with you." He threw me out on the street, basically. You know, more than anything, I felt so cheated. 19 years old. Come home, 20, 21. But I was never that age. I don't know what it's like to be 20, 21-year-old. Because I always said, you know, I really didn't know who I was. So drugs and alcohol, thank God I was at least, I was an alcoholic and an addict and still could maintain, you know.
Functioning alcoholic?
Functioning alcoholic, yeah.
At what point in all of this did you join the Air Force Reserves then?
It's funny how this all worked. I was married and my wife, she was a penny pincher. It was a budget. If it wasn't in the budget, you don't get it. But I wanted a snowmobile so bad. So I went to her and she said, "No, it's not in the budget." And I go, "Oh, no." So anyway, I heard about the Air Force National Guards. So I went out and I thought, oh yeah, they was more than happy to take me. So I went to her, I said, "If I can find a decent income, can I get the snowmobile?" The answer was yes. So I went to Guards.
To get a snowmobile.
Get a snowmobile. That was in 1997. 1997, I was 1977, 1997, I got out of the Guards. That was a long 2-year enlistment. And the snowmobile was way gone.
I bet it was. I bet it was. So, wife, at what point did you get married then?
We got married in 1977.
Okay.
And
how did you meet your wife?
we've known each other from high school, okay? And we had some friends and so forth. And so one thing led to the next, you know.
Okay, so in the Army, you were in the Army from 68
Right, to
74?
75.
75.
Right.
And then what year did you marry your wife?
In 1977.
Okay, so in those 2 years then,
Right.
you were kind of adjusting to
Yeah,
life
right,
and got married
right,
and joined the Air Force Reserves.
right.
Were things feeling up from there, or you were just still trying to survive?
Still trying to survive.
Okay.
I was, no, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I just, you know, I didn't really, more than anything is, I didn't know how to show love anymore. You know, I was still a very hard person. You know, goes back to maybe childhood. You know, I had great parents, but there was something just wasn't spoken in our, verbally in our house. I love you, and so forth. And like I say, I was a very hard person. And I didn't really, not that I didn't love the lady more than anything in my life, but I didn't know how to love. It's kind of like, don't get too close because it's going to leave.
You're protecting yourself.
Yeah.
Did you have children?
Yeah, I have 2 children. I have a beautiful little daughter and a beautiful little son. She was married prior to, she was divorced, you know, and she had a little girl, Lisa, early in her marriage at a young age. And, but anyway, Lisa is not my biological daughter, but she is my daughter.
That's
and
nice.
We're still very close today, and my son and I, which is my biological son, we're very close, you know. The good part is I know how to love them, and I know how to tell them, you know. But that didn't come easy. That's something I had to learn through alcohol, substance abuse. Centered through the Alcoholics Anonymous program.
Well, I imagine they appreciate you putting the work into that so they can have that relationship with you.
So I have 2 beautiful children.
That's good. Do you feel in a way they've helped you heal?
Yeah, they have, you know. They're, I don't know, my life is just precious. You know. More than anything is, I feel they're caring and loving what I mean to them, you know. And still today, they're grown adults now, done very well in their lives. But still, there's a problem is, hey Dad, hey Dad.
They're your babies forever, no matter how old
Yeah,
they
it's cool.
are.
You know, it's really cool.
Yeah. Well, so when you joined the Air Force Reserves, so you already had your daughter by then, since she came
Right,
with the marriage then.
right.
So you joined the Air Force
Then my
Reserves.
son was born in '78.
Okay, so then followed up by a son. So you had some exciting years there as far as
I did.
marriage and kids and joining the Air Force Reserves. What was the process for training for the Air Force Reserves for you?
Air Force Reserves, it was very simple. The MOS that I had in the Army, I went into the security police career field in the Air Force, so it just kind of transferred over OJT, on the job known as you go type thing. Now I did go down to Lackland Air Force Base, you know, for some quick classes and stuff like that.
Was that, there's always tension between the services. So were you proud to transition? Were you kind of like, oh, I got to be humble and transition, or how did you feel about that?
No, I'll explain this. I respect anyone who puts on a military uniform, past, present, or future. If you cut me open, I still bleed Army green, will always bleed Army green. You gotta remember, the United States Air Force Reserves, that was no more than a snowmobile. Okay. 20 years snowmobile, but snowmobile is a whole different world.
I imagine, I'm an Air Force veteran, so
Yeah.
I'm imagining it was a big shift in how maybe treatment of personnel and...
Yeah, here's what I know about the Air Force. The reason I went to the Air Force, they work 8-hour days. They get days off. They get good food. They get holidays, you know. They're not crawling around in the dirt there and stuff like that, you know. Good life,
a little
Yeah.
more comfortable.
good money. More comfortable, you know, all the way around.
Well, while you were in the reserves, you did your weekend a month,
1 weekend per month, right?
and then 2 weeks per year?
2 weeks per year, yeah.
Okay. Did you get to see some, like travel around and see some
Oh
cool
yeah,
places?
I sure did. I went TDY a lot, okay, on orders. I went Hickam Air Force Base in Hawaii, worked over there for a while, okay. Actually worked down in the Bahamas, a place called Grananagua. We was working an operation with the DEA over there, matter of fact, okay, and Cincinnati unit. So I worked in the Bahamas with TDY for a while. Gulfport, Mississippi, I worked down there for a while, down at Keesler. Worked over to Wright-Patterson Air Force for a while, and so it was more than 2 weeks for me. I went, if it was TDY, I'm gone, you know. So yeah, I got to see home, went to England for a while. Wow. Anyway, go, 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 go. And that's what I did.
Yeah. Were you deployed at any point with the reserves?
No, never deployed. Desert Storm, I was in that operation, but we never got deployed, okay? We got called up, but we didn't go.
When you got notice that you were called up and on standby, I assume, for
Yes, exactly.
if you were going to be activated, did that cause some triggers or?
Yes. They called us in that night, okay? And we got people that's only been in the Guards or Reserves, okay? And they were excited, like, oh yeah, you know, we're gonna go, yes, you know, all excited and all this and that. And I remember saying, I said, you guys never been to war, have you? Well, all this and that. And I said, well, I don't want to go. I said, I've been there. But I said, I'll tell you what, I'll be the first one off the plane, I'll be the last one back on. But I said, you kids don't know what it's like. It's not a party, you know. They was looking at it like, oh man, it's gonna be great, gonna be fun. And I didn't want another one in my life. But like I said, I'll be the first on the plane and the last one back on. Because I got a responsibility to bring these damn kids home if something happens.
Well, thankfully you didn't have to.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, out of naivety, the American youth will watch a war movie and think that that's what war is, but you don't turn it off.
No.
Yeah.
You know, it's been 52 years since I've been in Vietnam. But still, it was only yesterday. There was not a day that I know of that something doesn't come up in my mind about Vietnam. United States government, the VA, in their charge they have me down as survivor guilt. Because I wasn't supposed to come home. You know, I wish I could go back and undo some of the stuff that I did. You know, they keep telling me, you know, it's war, you know, it's what we're trained to do. But, like I say, after I lost my friend, it came into a whole different world. It came more and more. And it's just like I still get haunted at times with it. You know, I'll go through the rest of this life with the ghost. But I can't take it back. I do the best that I can, you know. I worked a lot of years, not because I loved work, because it kept me busy. My worst enemy is my idle time in my mind. I do not sit down, because I'm scared too. You know, on the outside, I look good, but the inside I still hurt, you know. I try to pay back, I try to give back, you know, the best that I can. In fact, as you know, I belong to a motorcycle club called Wright Motorcycle Club. We're all veterans.
Okay, Ride On.
Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T.
Oh, like the base.
Right,
Okay, Ride On.
Wright Arn Motorcycle Club, all veterans motorcycle club.
Oh, what kind of things do you guys do?
We do event after events after events, trying to raise money, and we give back to the veterans and veterans organizations and stuff like that.
That's nice. What is your favorite of the year?
Wow. You know, my favorite event out of all the events we do is that Wounded Warrior Amputee event here at Wright State University at the baseball park.
It was really nice this year.
Yes, that is our favorite event, because I look out there at these amputees. They could roll over and quit, but they don't. And I understand. Like, we'll fight to fight. And they were giving back. And so it's what a club's all about. You know, got Thanksgiving coming up, we'll put together food baskets and turkeys and stuff like that, and we'll hand them out to veterans in need and stuff like that. Same with Christmas. We got an event, in fact, coming up Saturday, November 2nd at Ambest Post 464. We're putting on a spaghetti dinner, and we're raising money and so forth. And anyway, this year would be a lot of kids in Montgomery County at the children's home and stuff down there. They'll be getting brand new bicycles and stuff like that.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and toys and presents.
How many members do you have?
We're small in size. We have a total of 12 of us. But
huge impact for 12 people.
yeah, but
That's
we
impressive.
don't quit. We start in April, and we'll probably shut it down after our motorcycle club Christmas dinner. You know, take a few months off. We'll go fix the members' motorcycle need fixed. I have my garage all set up. That's our motorcycle garage. And fix whoever bikes needs fixed. We'll get ready and roll out again in April. Now we do take a break, 2 weeks out a year, and we take out on the road and go on a vacation.
Go to Sturgis.
Sturgis, we went through the Maine 3 years in a row.
Okay.
Out to Laconia. And,
Growing up in northern Iowa, I'm familiar with Sturgis because
Yeah.
Highway 169 rides up, and a lot of
Yes.
people take 169 up. And we actually, my family home was right off of 169. Like, if you've taken that road, you've driven by the house I grew up in.
if I known that, we would have waved.
So, so I know that's a highlight of many bikers' lives.
It
I'm
is.
sure that you had a great time.
Yeah, we did. It's a beautiful country out there.
With your, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no. No, it's just, I could go on and on forever about Vietnam. I'm not unique in any way. I'm glad to see that the society, the people, I guess like words are starting to love us a little bit more. You know, when we came home, I think about how many of us wouldn't maybe be suffering the way we suffer today. It was when we got off that airplane and put our feet back down on the soil of the United States of America, we'd have seen a sign saying, "Welcome home." Instead of saying, "Damn, you baby killer," and stuff like that, spitting.
It's very unfortunate that the protests were so misguided where it was the government making the decisions, not you.
Yeah. You know, Vietnam didn't kill us. Of course, the memories and stuff like that is very, very painful for a lot of us. But what killed us most was our own people back home. And for that, that's saddened. You know, I get scared today about the red, white, and blue, the flags. We're the patriotism today, you know. Remember when 9/11 took place? 2 years you couldn't drive down any place that you didn't see a flag. Drive down the same places, look, see how many flags are still up. You know, the children, the kids today, it's in school, I know things change. But they're not, they don't know, they don't study, they don't talk. There's nothing in school teaching about the Vietnam War, World War II. It's not there in the school systems anymore. And right now, what's really sad is fighting to keep the American flag in the school anymore, you know? Fighting to keep the hand over the heart and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Fighting for the kids to stand still and sing the Star Spangled Banner. Is it all? No. But is it yeah? Yes. So where's it going to go? You know, if you'd have told me I'd live to be 70 years old and I'd be seeing what's taking place today in the United States, I'd have told you you're crazy as hell. Sometimes you wonder, like, was the fight really worth it? But I'm proud that I was able to serve. Even at 7 years old today, which I know I'm not physically capable to do what I was able to do at 19. But if it came down to it, I put the uniform back on today in a heartbeat. Because you know I love this country. And just maybe, Us Vietnam veterans might have made a little bit of difference somewhere.
Well, I certainly think that a lot of lessons have come through those of you who are able to share, to give perspective for those of us who didn't have your experience, and to learn that compassion that, you know, America at the time failed to show you guys. I think that's been a big lesson that came from your generation.
You know, I appreciate you giving me this time today. It's painful at times, but still an opportunity to be able to share my story, or part of, or let's call it a condensed version of Reader's Digest. Because if I had the time, I could write at least a 400-page book of my life. So what I try to do today, through all my trials and tribulations of life, in fact, I'm told at times by people that I do too much. But I try to share love, and I try to give back. And I'm not looking for anything in return. Just maybe I can make someone folks a smile today. Maybe I can say one thing nice today. Just maybe I can make a difference in somebody's life.
It's like therapy, right? Daily therapy.
It is. You know, I'm blessed, truly blessed, to be sitting here to talk to you today. I'm not a religious person. Grew up in a good Catholic family. I don't attend church. I've been inside the church for so long, I couldn't even tell you what the date may be. Do I believe in God? That I do. Like I said, I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual. You know, God of my understanding, how I feel. Right or wrong, that's who I am. As I said earlier, you know, it was a big thing in my life, I didn't know who I was. You know, today, as I told you, I'm a recovering alcoholic and drug addict. And, you know, been asked throughout the years to be the guest speaker on several occasions. And I always want to say no, but I always say yes, you know. And I never know what I'm going to say during that 45 minutes up there. Because I know whatever's supposed to be said, my God will let me say it. But one thing I always say, and it means more than anything to me, you know, I went through life not knowing who I am. And today I can say I know who I am. I am Steve Heider. And that's a miracle in itself, to finally know who I am.
That's great. What are your children doing now?
My children, that's a whole different story. My little girl, she's an accountant.
Good.
Been with a firm, I can't think, I knew he was going to not ask me, but I can't get the name of the company right now. My son, that's a whole different story. Thank God I was blessed to be able to send them both to school, both to college, and everything. And of course, their mother, she was a deputy sheriff for many, many years. She's retired. So their dad, he was a security policeman in the Air Force for 20 years. So my son wants to jump on the bandwagon. He wants criminal justice. So I put him through school, get his bachelor's degree in criminal justice and all that good stuff. So he drives for UPS.
Of course. I hear they have great benefits.
Benefits are awesome. The hourly wage, he makes anywhere from, depend on amounts and stuff like that, $34, $36 an hour.
Well, you can't beat that in the police department.
No. But I could have beat 4 years of criminal justice.
Well, isn't that how life goes?
I'm just Ohio State fan from hell and back. He loves Michigan. I love baseball. That was my life. He's a basketball.
Of course.
That's my son.
Do you have grandchildren?
No neither one of my children has been married. No grandchildren.
Okay.
And in fact, I kid my daughter. I say to Lisa, I said, even if you get married and you have a child, I said, I have me a little grandson, a little granddaughter. I said, when you come and visit me, I said, at this age now, all they're going to say, Mom, who's that old man that sits over there in that lazy boy chair and drools? I can hold my own with any adult. But you put children in my life, then I melt. So I adopted lots and lots of little grandchildren.
Through sponsorships or friends, grandchildren?
Friendship, yeah, just
okay.
friends, you know.
Yeah.
Have blessed, my neighbor's got a little girl, Hayden. She is a year and a half old, and then they have one, Lori. She's going to be 3. And they're my bestest little buddies in the world.
Oh, I bet they love getting treats and toys out of you.
I spoil them. And, our president of our motorcycle club's got a grandson. I do. That's my little grandson too. That's what I'm doing now.
It sounds like the motorcycle club is like a family for you.
It is. It is. We have, there was 12, blah, 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 1, 2, 3. There was 4 of us as Vietnam veterans. And we talk. We can talk. And it's a good feeling knowing that you don't ever have to look if somebody's in your back, because they got your back. You know?
Yeah.
We're together. There's no worry. And, yeah, it's an awesome club.
That's really good.
Not big, but we do 10 times more than any big club.
I'm very impressed. I thought you were going to say the club was much larger than it is.
No. And you know, we really don't want it a whole lot larger, because we look at some of these larger clubs, national clubs, and some of the people in the club don't even know that person's name, you know. We're small, we know each other's name, and we're not young, but boy, we work our asses off, you know.
It sounds like it. And you had told me earlier that your group goes for the, when folks are returning from their honor flight.
Yes.
Do you go to every return?
No, we try to make a couple a year.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing too, we try to go into the nursing homes beforehand, find out, because there's veterans in there, and visit. Hey, You know, every year we adopt a child or a family for Christmas. Last year happened to be a child down in Cincinnati, Ohio, which we got word from another motorcycle club and da-da-da. And this little boy, God love him. He went through hell. 8 years old. He ended up, back to his aunt and uncle took him, got custody of him, all this. Anyway, it's neither here or there. And they wasn't blessed with a whole lot of money to really even get this little boy. So anyway, we call it lace up our boots, roll up our sleeves. Let's go to work. Let's make sure this little boy's got a beautiful Christmas. So our club goes down there and knocks on the door, and all kinds of presents for this little boy.
Oh, was he? Did he know anything about it, or was it a
No,
surprise?
Surprise.
Oh, that would be so fun.
And we'll do that again this year. There's somebody else out there.
That's wonderful.
You know, I found out a long time ago, at least for myself, and I believe this could hold true of everybody really, that suffers, has trouble, or whatever it is with their life. I always say you got to go in before you can ever come out. If you don't go in and act on these feelings and deal with stuff, whatever it be, major or minor, you never can come out, you know. So I always say you have to go in before you can come out. And thank God I've been able to do that, because I was a man that stopped my feelings to the point of explosion, you know. And today I don't have to do that.
That's good.
There's a little prayer that will get me through, you know. And that's called the Serenity Prayer. And there's times I have to call up on it. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but it's carried me through a lot of days. So even through all the hardship, feelings, and everything that I've been through, you know, the Vietnam thing's never going to go away. It's going to be here today, it's going to be here tomorrow. Thankful I got some coping skills. I got friends. And I'll make it through it.
Do you have a primary friend that you call when you're having a tough day?
I do. You know, I do have I have an awesome sponsor.
Good.
He's a motorcycle guy. So, like I said before, I am thankful and grateful that I'm alive and here today. That the opportunity to be able to give back to somebody in need, you know?
Yeah.
Or a moment to have time to sit down and talk to somebody that's hurting.
And interviews like this are so important. Like you said, it's not entirely unique, but for you it is. It's unique to you. It's your experience, but to share with, you know, future generations, to share with folks, whether it's someone returning as a soldier as well, or people who are never in the military, to give a glimpse of a perspective. It's so important. So I'm really thankful for you that you're able to share your story.
I'm thankful and appreciative that you give me that opportunity. Like I say, condensed version of Reader's Digest only.
Yeah. One of our questions here at the end of our thing is, what advice would you have for future generations?
Pardon?
What advice would you have for future generations?
I'm really sorry. Huh?
What advice would you give to future generations?
If I had the opportunity or the magic wand, it could go poof, which I don't. My advice to future generation is don't ever forget how to love. Take time to be with that family. Because in me, structure starts at that family table. Never lose sight of who you are or where you want to go. One thing I will say is, life isn't easy all the time. If somebody walks up to you and says it's free, tell them, no, I don't want it. Learn to work for it. Even though it might be hard, you don't agree with it. As you go on in your future, you'll find out, wow, that was worth it. I earned that. It wasn't given. More than anything, when you feel like, oh man, this is terrible life, this is bad, just remember there's people hurting worse than you. And to finish up, learn to lace your boots up and roll your sleeves up and go to work. Fight for what you want, fight for who you are.
That's good advice. Well, thank you so much again, Steve. We really appreciate your time today, the opportunity to do this interview with you.
Thank you.
And this concludes our interview with Dana Stephen Heider. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for your time in your military service.
Well, thank you.